Cultural value of cultural goods ultimately leads to commercial value. I think the problem that a lot of people have with this statement is that when you add a commercial value to something, it almost makes it seem less important. Or when you add a monetary value to something, it may take the culture away from it and make it seem cheap. But this just isn't the case. Just because some people pay to tour the Great Wall of China doesn't make it any less spectacular. Or just because we pay taxes to keep things like beaches and parks clean doesn't make them any less usable to our society. That's why I believe that commercial value has always been and will always be the best way to determine cultural value of a cultural good. We can see this through an example we gave earlier, that there was a dictator down in South America holding parts of the rainforest hostage. Now, while the global community was outraged, what many people fail to remember is that in Southern California, there are people's homes that are lined with hardwood from the rainforest that they've used for flooring or cabinets. For years, we've cut down trees in the rainforest and used them to build things. So yes, something so precious as the rainforest has always had a monetary value. And by this dictator holding parts of the rainforest hostage, it didn't just upset Greenpeace or PETA. It upset people who wanted to buy more hardwood. So even though it had a high cultural value, it was a cultural good. Therefore, it had a monetary value. The higher the cultural value, the higher the monetary value. Now, while this may seem crude way of thinking, it's really not. And we can see this when we go to South Africa. Earlier in November, Melissa Bachman, a well-renowned big game hunter, killed a very large lion in South Africa. After she took a picture with it and posted it on Instagram, she overnight became an internet sensation, and people were mocking her and saying that she was taking away the cultural value that was in South Africa by killing wildlife there. But what they fail to realize is she went down to the gaming office and bought her hunting license. What she did was legal. In that part of the continent, it was legal to kill big game like lions or gazelles or anything else that they said that she could take down. But there was another law. If you kill it, you eat it. They didn't want her to just waste it. So she skinned the animal, cooked it, and presented it to that culture, which they partook of. Just because they put a monetary value on their wildlife doesn't mean that they don't also put a cultural value on their wildlife. They have laws about how many lions can be killed a year or how many gazelle can be killed. That way, our grandchildren and their grandchildren can also not only enjoy and watch the majestic wildlife, but if so, and if the season allows, hunt for it and kill it. There is nothing wrong with putting a monetary value on a cultural good. Once again, we can see this through beaches. Now, in the last speech of the affirmative, he mentioned that it was almost oppressive to put a monetary value on something when something else doesn't have the same monetary value. The example he used was a beach in South Africa or anywhere else in the world may not have the same value that we put on beaches in America. Now, while we may pay more to take care of a beach in Miami than maybe the South African government pays to take care of their beaches, it doesn't make it oppressive. In America, we see Miami as a hotspot, just like New York or Los Angeles. And tourism takes place in this notion. Miami is probably the number one hotspot for people for spring break. It's also one of the top retirement communities in our nation. So yes, state tax of Florida and the part of the national tax that they receive goes to taking care of taking care of the beaches in Miami. This doesn't make our beaches any more culturally available or better than anyone else's. It just means that we as the people decided to value our beaches more than any other continent. But this also isn't true. You can go to the Bahamas, Nassau, St. Thomas, Port-au-Prince, and see that their beaches are well taken care of because they receive millions of tourism dollars a year for their cultural goods. So, at the heart of the matter, that's what it really is. When a culture decides to value something, whether it be a historical structure such as the Great Wall of China, the pyramids in Egypt, or the Mona Lisa in the Louvre in France, or whether it be something that was already there, like a beach or the rainforest or special hardwood or the Moroccan oils that are now a hair sensation and being sold all over the world. When a culture decides to put a value on something that doesn't make it any less culturally valuable, just because you can make a profit from your cultural goods doesn't make it wrong or any less important to that culture. Commercial value is the best way to determine cultural value because that's what we've already been doing. When a culture sees something as valuable, they sell it or they make a profit from it to maintain it, share its tradition, and to keep it going. So yes, commercial value is the only way and the best way to determine cultural value of a good.